God bless everybody today. It is November 5th of 2022. I may be crazy, but I think I found something important. It may or may not mean anything, but I'm going to point it out because I think it does, and it somewhat works directly with this paradigm of the three modern day kings and Enoch's 70th shepherdy prophecy that I made a video about. Now, I couldn't sleep, so I got a notion that I should go back into Daniel for some reason. And when I did, I found something in Daniel 10 that I think is extremely important, very profound, at least in my world. And it may or may not mean anything, but I think it needs to be pointed out. So, Daniel is in captivity for 7 years. And in the 3rd year of Cyrus, the king of Persia, he has a vision. And in this vision, he's told the interpretation of the vision and that we need to be aware of something extremely important. Now, this vision was so profound and affected Daniel so great that he was in mourning for 3 weeks. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. It changed his perspective on everything that he saw at that time, and he knew that he was down at the end of the 70 years that he was in captivity. And so when God brought him this vision, when Michael shows him this vision, he gives him something I think is extremely important. Now, I've said this paradigm, Daniel 8, actually you can go into Daniel 7 to Daniel 12, starts talking about a latter-day prophecy. And I go into extreme detail about this paradigm and how it affects us in the next 5 years. But look at Daniel 10:4 here. This is what I mean. Okay, so Daniel is taken into this vision. Okay, he sees what's going to happen in the end times. Okay, at the very end. And he says something extremely important. I talk about these date stamps. I know everybody gets crazy about date stamps, but I think he tells us what's coming, and there's more information here. I get it. We don't know maybe the time or the day that the Lord exactly comes back. I say it's the fall feast of 27. People disagree with me there. But that doesn't mean that we can't know what's going to come up to the time that the Lord comes back. So look at what he's telling us here. In the 4th and 24th day of the 1st month, Daniel is taken to this great river, Hiddekel. Okay, so this river is the Tigris River, basically. And it runs through Turkey, through the very top portion of northeast Syria, down into Iraq, and along the border of Iran. Okay, and so he's taken to this area, and he's going to be shown a vision. So Jesus comes and gives him this vision, and he says, look, you're going to have a great vision. And after the vision, there's no strength in Daniel. He's so distraught at what he sees. He's placed into a deep sleep, and then he's touched on the shoulder, or he's touched and brought to his knees and brought to his hands, and then he's brought back from this position of being on the ground and just out of strength. And when he does this, he's shown a vision of what is to come. He talks about this king of Persia that is going to stand, Michael's going to stand against the king of Persia. and how this is going to happen at the latter days, at the end of days. He's going to have this vision that shows him what's going to come. That we're going to see an attack by basically Turkey on Iran. And you can see that if you go down to the bottom here. It talks about, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but it basically comes down and you get into here and it says, look, Michael is going to return and fight against the Prince of Persia, and lo, when he goes, he's going to have the king of Greece come against Iran. Okay? That's basically what it's saying here. Well, the king of Greece is Turkey. Okay? And I've been talking about Daniel 8 and how the Kurds are going to align with Iran, and then you would see Grecia or Turkey come over and smash both these nations. Okay, now I've done, I don't know how many videos about this. I've talked about this forever. But it's interesting that in Daniel 10, he is taken into a vision that ends up just to the west of Elam, that vision of Daniel 8. He's taken to the province of Elam in Shush, Iran, around the Ulai River. And so what's happening here? In the first month of the 24th day, he is taken to this place on the Tigris River, the great river, the Tigris River, and that he would then see this vision of what is to come. So look at this map. This is Turkey, Syria, Iraq. Okay, and this is the Tigris River here. Okay, this is where Daniel would have ended up. Now Shush is right here. Baghdad is right here. So he's saying that he ends up in Daniel 10, he ends up in Iraq at the Tigris River, which is right here, and that he's going to watch Michael go against Persia, and that when he does this, Michael's going to bring the king of Grecia against Iran and destroy them. And I've been talking about this in Daniel 8, when the Medes, which are in all these nations. Okay, so the Medes are in all these nations. They're in Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. Turkey's genociding these Kurds, and he's destroying this whole northern border. He's been doing this for a couple years now, but this ramping up is going to happen, okay? He's going to start to really take off now. He's got an election in 2023 in June, and he's got a collapsing lira and a collapsing economy, and he's going to have to deal with something as the Kurds are now rioting in Iran about this Kurdish woman that's been killed. And Iran's got 10 million Kurdish people in this country, and they're going to have to either align, join, or have a war against each other and then a join somehow, and then after that happens, Turkey would come over and crush them. But look, in Daniel 10, it says something extremely important. He's talking about in the first month of the 24th day, he's going to send him to this place to see a vision of this destruction of this nation of Iran. I've talked about this in Daniel 8, how this goat comes over and destroys the ram, and how I've done a video, I just did another video about this, on how this would happen in the next 3 to 6 months. Okay, well, if you take this first month of the 24th day of the time frame that I've been talking about, this paradigm of the 3 modern day kings, and how Enoch, 70 shepherd, vision, prophecy all work together, I say, I'm stepping out on a limb here based on this paradigm that I found. So let's see if this date stamp holds up based on what I've been talking about. And the one stamp that I've given you prior to this is October 10th of 2023. We would see Turkey besieging Jerusalem based on my paradigm. And I'll show you the paradigm in a second. But if the paradigm's right, this is important, because now we start in from Daniel 8 to Daniel 11, where we start talking about that fourth king of Persia. And I talked about this in another video about Daniel 11, how there would be 3 kings of Persia, and we would see a fourth king stand up, which would be far greater than the other kings, and then we would see Grecia come over and destroy them, which is Turkey. Okay, well, since Erdogan's been in power since 2002, we now have the fourth king in place, at least in my understanding of things. So I've talked about this too. This is the fourth leader since Ajamite, however you say his name. I'm terrible with names. So Muhammad here is the first one since Erdogan's been in power in 2002. And then we are now at the fourth king, which is this guy, okay? So Erdogan was placed in power in 2002. So you've got the first king, the second king, the third king, and now the fourth king. He was elected in 21. So this could really turn bad for him in 23. And so that's what I'm saying, is we're down into a really interesting time frame, I believe. And look at what it says here. When this fourth king of Iran comes up, he's gonna stir up the realm of Turkey, and that he will stand up and break the Iranian king, and then Turkey will be crushed in the near future, shortly after that. Why? Because he's going up against Israel, and he's going to be destroyed by the wrath of the Lamb in Revelation 6:16. Because Turkey, Erdogan, this king of Greece, is the white horseman, the first seal. He is the one that's going to bring a quarter of the Middle East of the world into war in the next year. Okay? But he's going to die on that sixth seal. And I've showed you on that paradigm how that happened. So if you go to my website at endofdayssurvival.com, which is a free Wix site, go out here and look at the information. I don't sell anything on my sites. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to show you information. If you bring this up, and you look at these dates that I've been talking about, okay, this is extremely important. I've talked about this date of October 10th of 2023 in this paradigm that I found. I made almost a 3-hour video on exactly how I came up with all this stuff. So it's very complicated. You got to go back and look at these videos. But all these major prophets are talking about the same thing, okay? And how Israel would be attacked. Jerusalem would be besieged, okay, on the 10th month of a 10th day of a certain king. I went over all this stuff. It's a past to future prophecy. It's occurred in the past, but it's going to reoccur in the future. If this is the case, and you go to Daniel 10, and you look at that, it says in the first month of the 24th day of that king, which would be in between here. Now, I have not put this on the paradigm here because I just found it. That would put this in this location, right about here, okay? And what does that say? It says that we would see Turkey possibly attack Iran by the first month of the 24th day of 2023, and that would then give him time to get to Jerusalem, because look, Daniel 8 has to happen first. Iran has to fall as a nation, because you go to Ezekiel 38 and 39, the first kingdom listed after Turkey is Persia, because they're one of the 10 nations that ends up in Egypt and then back up. He's pulled up by the hook of the jaw in Ezekiel 38-39. He's brought back between the two seas, and then he attacks Israel Jerusalem by October 10th of 2023. Now, I've said there's a problem with that, because to get to Egypt, he's got to go through Jordan and the southern portion of Israel, because you got the Red Sea there. And so he could be already attacking Israel, but in the paradigm it says that he will be besieging Jerusalem at that moment in time. So I don't know if it means anything, but this paradigm keeps opening up more and more dates that we should be aware of, I believe. Look at what is happening out here. Iran right now is threatening the United States. They're threatening Erbil, which has a green zone there. It is the regional capital of the Kurdistan people. You got 10 million Kurdistan people in Iran. They've got a young woman that was Kurdish killed by the efficacy police, or whatever they're called, and that this is going to erupt, and it's going to change Iran. Iran now has to make a decision on what they're going to do with 10 million Kurds in their country as it's erupting, and potentially an overthrow of a government, as they're getting ready to build a bomb that they potentially send against Israel. And Turkey's not going to allow that to happen. So you got two prophecies happening here. You got Daniel 8, where the Kurds align with Iran, and then Turkey comes over and smashes them. And then you got a secondary prophecy called Isaiah 28-38, and that's chapters 28-38. Okay? In this part of the prophecy, it says something extremely important. Turkey and Egypt would align with Israel to remove the Assyrian or the Iranian. But then Isaiah says, look, because you did not believe in God, and you went and had these other two nations work with you to eliminate this problem, and you should have just relied on God and yourself, Turkey will then come against you in the near future and attack you. So I'm not saying this. The Bible says this stuff. And if it is a past to future prophecy, then we should be watching the Kurds. And if it is something that I've talked about this for a while, that we're going to see potential destruction of Iran in the next 3 to 6 months. I just did this video 4 days ago. Nobody watches my videos, but regardless, I believe they're important. I believe that they're giving information of what's coming up. I don't know if they're right or not, but I just talked about this and how within the next 3 to 6 months we were going to see Iran fall as a nation. And I believe that it's ramping up so quickly, I don't know how we can't see it happening. So I just wanted to point these things out. I don't know if it's going to happen. The world is spiraling down quickly here, and I believe this matters. Maybe God is giving us a roadmap to the end through this paradigm. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm right, because this will have a happy ending and we'll end up in a really good place. But if I hope I'm wrong in a way that the next 5 years are going to be extremely terrible, and people aren't understanding what's coming and just how bad this is going to be and how this is going to affect them and their families and the people around them. And they have such a short period of time to prepare. I mean, think about this. You could see a potential fall of a nation called Iran in 3 months or less. And then an attack on Israel by the end of 23 that would change everything. And then you have a potential Antichrist event coming up in 24, 25. The church is not ready for this. You have not placed enough oil in your lamp, and you are not getting ready for what is to come. You will be here till the seventh trumpet. I don't know how to explain this. You are not going to be pre-raptured. You need to go look at Psalm 90:10 and realize that the strong generation, which ends on May 14th of 2028, is that generation that we're in, and that they will go through trials and tribulation and be taken away before the ending of that strong generation. I believe that happens on the fall feast of 2027. And I believe that the seventh trumpet, and I'm calling out dates here based on my paradigm, that the Lord comes back on the fall feast in 2027, and that probably happens on the Feast of Trumps, which occurs on October 2nd and 3rd of 2027. October 2nd is a sabbatical Saturday, and the east gate, could be open. The temple can be open, because the temple can be open on a new moon and a sabbatical Saturday. And so we would see the sounding of the seventh trumpet, and we would see the Lord come back on that date. God bless everybody. Prepare. You have very little time to get ready for this. This thing is going to take you over like a freight train. It's going to hit you, and you're not even going to see it. It's going to hit you so hard. So get ready. This is going to start to accelerate quickly at this point, I believe. God bless. Have a great day.